Toronto Mayor Rob Ford's ex-staffers detail erratic behavior in documents. CNN. Explosive new allegations surface about embattled Toronto Mayor Rob Ford in court documents released Wednesday, the same day the city council voted to ask him to take a leave of absence. The court report, more than 500 pages long, alleges a pattern of drug use and erratic and sometimes abusive behavior by the mayor. A judge ordered the report released late last month. The documents include police interviews with former staff members, information obtained from surveillance crews and cameras, and even an examination of the mayor's garbage. The documents were used by Canadian police to get a search warrant for Alexander Lacy, Ford's friend and occasional driver, whom police accuse of marijuana possession and trafficking. Several staffers said they were asked to buy alcohol for the mayor. One incident described by a former staffer alleged that Ford, while driving, stopped the vehicle, guzzled some vodka, and drove on. Chris Fickle, who worked as a special assistant to Ford, said the mayor would ask him to perform odd jobs at his house. Fickle said he would be called to change light bulbs in the front lawn, change batteries in his children's toys, buying cartons of cigarettes, blanch, laundry, detergent, and Diet Coke for the mayor's wife. One staffer told police the mayor was inebriated on St. Patrick's Day in 2012 and got into a physical altercation with two staff members. He alleges the mayor was verbally abusive and inappropriate with a female staff member. Another staff said the same night he saw a woman who may have been an escort or prostitute in the mayor's office. Ford's former press secretary, George Christopoulos, also said women often came to the mayor's office and told staffers that they have smoked a joint with the mayor on the street outside of the bar. These women were told by the mayor that they could have a job. Christopoulos would then have to interview these women and try to talk them out of a job. None of the allegations against Ford has been proven, and he faces no criminal charges. Ford vows to stay on the job. Despite the Toronto City Council's motion, the mayor of Canada's largest city insists he will stay on the job. Wednesday's vote is largely symbolic. It does not have the power to force Ford from his post. The 10th council meeting came more than a week after Ford admitted smoking crack cocaine. Days after that admission, a new video showed a ranting, swearing Ford threatening to kill someone. Toronto mayor's rant caught on video. During Wednesday's meeting, Ford made a further confession to the council. He said he has purchased illegal drugs within the past 2 days while he was in office. Despite his escalating troubles, Ford insists he has been a good mayor and that voters will decide during next year's election whether to keep him. I have made a mistake. I am human, he said. I apologize. I want to move on. Ford said that he is being subjected to a public flogging and that the experience has been the most humiliating thing in his life. Maybe the worst week in his life next to his father's death. Despite the admission of drug use and of heavy drinking, Ford flatly denied that he is addicted to alcohol or drugs. The reason I drank or did drugs was not because of stress. It was out of sheer stupidity, he said. That's all it was. Ford's brother, Councillor Doug Ford, and other family members have defended the embattled mayor. On Wednesday, Doug Ford appeared on CNN and blamed the scandal on politics. Rob does not come into work drunk, he told CNN. He said he's tried illicit drugs under a drunken stupor, and he's not doing drugs, and he's not drinking, so he's moving in the right direction, in my opinion, but the public flogging, never seen anything like it. This man has apologized profusely. He's asked for forgiveness, and the rest is sheer politics down here. He's not Teflon, but to Ford Nation, Toronto mayor is still their man. Police, M16 agent not killed, as previously thought. London, CNN. Gareth Williams, the M16 code breaker, found that inside an externally locked bag in his apartment in 2010, was probably not killed as previously believed, London's Metropolitan Police said Wednesday, citing a lack of evidence otherwise. Taking a different position from a coroner's report last year that said it was likely someone killed Gareth Williams, London's Metropolitan Police, said its 3-year investigation suggested that Williams most likely locked himself inside a large bag. We believe that it is a more probable conclusion that there was no other person present when Gareth died, the Deputy Assistant Commissioner Martin Hewitt said. But the Met said that despite its investigation, there remained insufficient evidence to be definite on how Williams died. There are holes in what we understand about the circumstance of Gareth Williams' death, Hewitt said, admitting that some of the evidence is odd. This includes the lack of Williams' DNA on the padlock used to lock the large red bags his body was found in, and a lack of handprints on the edge of the bath where it was found, he said. What we are left with is either individual pieces of evidence or a lack of such evidence that can logically support one of a number of hypotheses, Hewitt said. The case has gripped the British public since Williams, known for his mathematical genius and code-breaking talent, was found dead at age 31 in August 2010. Among the theories aired by UK media were that Williams might have died at the hands of foreign intelligence agents or as a result of a kinky sexual encounter gone wrong. Add to that speculation was the discovery of women's clothes, wigs, and cosmetics in Williams' apartment. At the inquest into his death last year, coroner Fiona Wilcox shut down the speculation, saying she thought Williams bought them out of an interest in fashion rather than any sexual motivation. Other reports about the body in a bag spy detailed how two experts spent days trying to figure out whether Williams could have contorted himself in such a way as to lock himself into the Northwest Hodel bag with a key to the padlock inside. Video of two experts trying to recreate the scene was shown to the court. One had tried 300 times without success, but neither ruled out definitely the possibility Williams could have somehow done it alone. It is now proven that it is theoretically possible for a person to lock themselves in that exact hotel with the same type of lock and in the configuration in which Grace was found. It is important to note that this fact was found to be a possibility by the inquest, Hewitt said. Meanwhile, family members suggested Williams had been murdered by killers versed in the dark arts of espionage, referring to speculation that Williams' death might have been forensically cleaned by unknown people responsible for his death. Hewitt said Wednesday that a deep clean would have removed all traces of Williams' DNA, as well as that of visitors to his flat. He said 10 to 15 traces of DNA had been found that were too insignificant to use to build a full profile, and said advances in forensic science could present opportunities for progress. For the time being, however, there are no active lines of inquiry that it is proportionate to pursue. Williams' family expressed their regret that mystery still surrounds his death, but say they agree with the coroner's verdict on the basis of facts at present known. We are naturally disappointed that it is still not possible to state with to state with certainty how Grace died, and the fact that the circumstances of his death are still unknown as to our grief, they said in a written statement. The family reiterated their disappointment that William's employers at M16 had not checked on his welfare when he failed to attend work on August 16, 2010. Williams was finally reported missing by a co-worker on August 23rd, more than a week after the normally punctilious employee had last shown up at work. We believed that if proper steps had been taken in the same manner as any responsible employer would have undertaken, further information relating to the cause of his death might have become apparent and not have been lost due to the length of time before Gareth's body was found, they said. The family also noted that the Met's investigators were at last able to interview directly members of UK intelligence agencies GCHQ and SIS. Addressing media, Hewitt disputed a suggestion that police had been blindsided in their investigation by intelligence agencies, but acknowledged that their method of interaction had improved during the investigation. We didn't get it right at the beginning, he said. Initially, he said, the only Met officers to deal with the intelligence agencies were those in SO-15 or counterterrorism command. The SO-15 officers had assessed Williams' vetting and personal files and found nothing relevant to the case. After the inquest, the senior investigating officer in the case personally requested and was granted access to the files and came to the same conclusion, Hewitt said. The investigation into Grace's death will remain under review, and any new significant information or evidence will be rapidly investigated, he said. If it is possible for us to give his family more answers, we will do so. Captain acquitted of central charge 11 years after massive oil spill. Madrid, CNN. An oil tanker captain was acquitted Wednesday of the central charge in what's widely considered Spain's worst environmental disaster, a spill that blackened hundreds of miles of coastline. Apostolos Mangoras, who was captain of the Prestige during the accident in 2002, was found not guilty in environmental crime. He was, however, convicted on a lesser charge of disobeying orders from Spanish officials who tried to save the ship. Mangoras was sentenced to 9 months in jail, but Spanish legal experts said prison time is unlikely for someone sentenced to less than 2 years who has no prior criminal record. If he had convicted of environmental crime, he could have faced up to 12 years in prison. Another Greek officer on the ship, Nikolaos Argyropoulos, was acquitted altogether. So was Jose Luis Lobos, former Director General of Spain's Merchant Marine Department, the only Spanish government officer charged in the case. The three were not in court for the verdict. The court ruled that a precise cause for the accident could not be established, so criminal responsibility could not be determined. No one knows with certainty what could be the cause of what happened, nor what should have been the appropriate response to the emergency situation created by the serious problem of the Prestige. The verdict reads, but no one can deny the structural problem, nor could they show during the trial where that problem occurred exactly or why. The group non-commias, whose name means never again, said it was studying the 263-page ruling. The group includes citizens and organizations that helped clean up the spill and served as a kind of class action. Plaintiff in the case, Pedro Tripet, attorney for non-commias, called part of the ruling strange. An appeal to Spain's Supreme Court is possible. Cause of death. The Prestige issued an alarm on November 13, 2002, during a storm with gale force winds of northwest Spain in an area known as the Coast of Death, famous for numerous shipwrecks. The ship reported it had a gash in its single hull, and some of its cargo of 70,000 tons of fuel oil had started gushing out. Spanish authorities soon ordered the stricken ship to move farther off the coast. It struggled for days, but on November 19 at 8 in the morning and about 145 nautical miles off the coast, it spilled into and sank. Oil continued to leak from it at the bottom of the Atlantic in the ensuing days. Much of this oil, described by some as having the sticky consistency of chewing gum, blackened hundreds of miles of coastline in Spain and neighboring France. It was an ecological disaster, with dead and oil-laden birds as a painful reminder. It was also an economic disaster for Spain's vital fishing industry, which was brought to a standstill for months over health concerns. In 2003, the cost was estimated at about $5.7 billion. But the court Wednesday did not assign damages to be paid because the defendants were acquitted of the principal charge of an environmental crime, which carried the potential for payment of damages. Tripet said. Why typhoon response taking so long? Editor's note: Bob Kitchen is director of the Emergency Preparedness and Response Unit at the International Rescue Committee, CNN. Around the world, agencies are dispatching teams to the Philippines with one initial overriding objective: gain access to the areas hit by Super Typhoon Haiyan and understand what has happened. The Philippines government estimated that as many as 11.3 million people have been affected, and we know that at least 28 million people were within the storm's path. A minimum of 670,000 people are displaced and 41,000 houses are damaged, with about half destroyed, and total casualty numbers continue to vary widely depending on different sources. Getting a handle on a crisis on this scale is hard, but it's made even harder when you're working in an archipelago in a country that is relatively poor with weak infrastructure. That's the challenge in the Philippines, where we are facing disseminated services on a truly terrifying scale. The images you have seen are only from areas we have assessed. Worse may be around the corner. Opinion for Filipinos: despair and prayers. Organizations such as the International Rescue Committee have learned a great deal from responding to past catastrophes, from the earthquake in Haiti and floods in Pakistan in 2010 to the Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004, where states' resilience and infrastructure are weak. The immediate concern beyond first aid for those harmed in the first wave of destruction is recovering, maintaining and reconstructing basic water and sanitation services. A cholera outbreak is always a threat, and other diseases such as typhoid are often the first killers to emerge. So the initial work is basic: clearing debris and understanding what services are working and what aren't. The IRC will typically look to mobilize the local community by offering cash for work to clear roads and kickstart a microeconomy. This puts cash back in pockets so people can start to rebuild their lives where they can and rekindle economic activity. The second priority is to assess and reinforce healthcare systems. The government of the Philippines has defined the typhoon event as a national calamity, and there will be thousands of casualties desperately in need of first aid. Many survivors would be ill and reliant on a health service that the typhoon has destroyed, so securing and providing medication for chronic conditions such as diabetes, which can quickly become life-threatening if left without attention is crucial when we are already hearing reports of closed hospitals without power and fears of electrocution if the power is switched back on.